Chapter 1976. When are you going to start? The heavenly Thearch Vastson asked. There's no time to lose. We have to start now. Zhou 16 replied. Now? The heavenly Thearch Vastson was stunned. What should we do now? Zhou 16 did not speak. Instead, he stared intently into the heavenly Thearch Vastson's eyes. Heavenly Axiom Lord. He said in a deep voice. He was clearly only speaking to the heavenly Thearch Vastson, but his voice resounded throughout the entire yellow heaven great cosmos. When are you planning to show yourself, if not now? The heavenly Thearch Vastson was stunned. In the next second, he felt a special origin power of will seething in his transcendence origin nucleus. Then, this special origin power of will actually flew out of his transcendence origin nucleus and left his body. It flew into the void and disappeared. At the same time, the same thing happened to Lord Ziwei and the Sky Demon Dao ancestor. At this moment, they almost simultaneously realized what had just happened. What had just flown out of their transcendent origin core was the incomplete willpower origin that Heavenly Axiom Lord had hidden in them. There was only one outcome now that the three incomplete wills had gathered together. The Heavenly Axiom had appeared. Why would the Heavenly Axiom Lord appear now? Who was that voice just now? Damn it! The Sky Demon Dao ancestor gritted his teeth and said, this doesn't match my previous plan. Who dares to ruin my plan? It's the common people's sacred king. The heavenly Thearch Vastson's voice sounded. None of us can stop this. Let's just watch this show. After the big show, whether we live or die will be decided by these two. Sky Demon Dao ancestor and Master Ziwei were very aggrieved when they heard this, but they were helpless. You did this, didn't you? The Sky Demon Dao ancestor suddenly glared at Heavenly Thearch Vastson. There's no point in discussing this now. The Heavenly Thearch Vastson said, what's important is the outcome of the battle between these two experts. The Sky Demon Dao ancestor was silent. Master Ziwei did not say anything either. The three transcendent experts stood in their respective positions and looked at the sky above the yellow sky great cosmos. They looked nervous, but they were also looking forward to it. Zhou 16 looked at the yellow-robed existence not far away, whose face was covered by a black fog. Heavenly Axiom Lord. Zhou 16 said. Common people's sacred king. Heavenly Axiom Lord slowly said, I already know everything you did in my yellow heaven great cosmos. I didn't want to stop you. It's just a great cosmos. I can easily create it. But why did you have to disturb my slumber? I just promised a friend of this emperor that I would return him his freedom. Zhou 16 said indifferently. Return him his freedom. The heavenly Axiom Lord said, he is my incarnation. How can he be free? He can live if you are dead. Zhou 16 shook his head, feeling like he was wasting his breath. This emperor will give you two choices. Either you resist to the end and this emperor will send you to your death, or submit to this emperor and you might really see the hope of advancing to the immortal realm in the future. Choose one. Zhou 16 could not sense if Heavenly Axiom Lord was looking at him. However, he had an extremely obvious feeling at that moment. The Heavenly Axiom Lord was currently looking at him with an extremely surprised gaze, as if he found it extremely unbelievable that he had said those words just now. You're too confident. Before the Heavenly Axiom Lord could finish speaking. Boom! Zhou 16 directly activated the king and only augmented his body with the power of a will transcending expert. Even so, after 50,000 times, the total strength of the 84 will transcendence experts was 2 million will transcendence experts. What would it feel like to have 2 million will transcendent experts suddenly unleash their full power in front of an expert? The Heavenly Axiom Lord felt that he had the right to speak. He felt that every bit of his willpower was shouting for him to kneel. This was because this was a power that he absolutely couldn't resist. If he dared to resist, he would only have one outcome. Walk into his true death. What? What kind of power is this? The Heavenly Axiom Lord looked at Zhou 16 in disbelief and confusion. Zhou 16 did not explain and only said, why did you dare to break through to the immortal realm back then? I have an immortal secret technique that can temporarily allow me to possess the strength of the quasi-eternal immortal realm. Back then, I felt that I could not rely on myself to advance to the quasi-eternal immortal realm. After obtaining this immortal secret technique, I decided to give it a try and try to advance to the immortal realm when my high level will transcended the level. In the end, I failed and died. I had no choice but to split into three and parasitize my incarnation, hoping to be reborn one day. Heavenly Axiom Lord was silent for a few seconds before speaking. So that is it. Zhou 16 came to a realization. No wonder this guy dared to forcefully break through to Undying when he was only a high-level will transcending expert. It was because of this secret technique. Do you think you can defeat me when you're at the quasi-eternal immortal realm? The Heavenly Axiom Lord was silent for a while before shaking his head. What if it's Saint Emperor Deheng? Back then, he only won 10 moves from me, who used an immortal mystic technique. I'm definitely not your match, Your Highness. Zhou 16 calmed down. As expected, his strength could already crush all the so-called quasi-eternal realm experts in the ultimate void great cosmos. Give me the secret technique. Zhou 16 said. Yes, Your Highness. Chapter 1977. The Heavenly Axiom Lord obediently handed his immortal mystic technique to Zhou 16. Zhou 16 received it. After taking a few glances, his brows pricked up slightly. This was because he had discovered that this immortal level mystic technique was actually used to increase the strength of a true immortal. It had to be said that it was a waste for Heavenly Axiom Lord to use this secret technique on a high-level willpower expert like him. Good stuff. He made an evaluation in his heart. After memorizing it, he casually threw it into his number 1 treasure vault. You've already decided to submit to this emperor judging your attitude just now, right? Zhou 16 said. Of course. The Heavenly Axiom Lord hurriedly said, in front of His Majesty's absolute strength, I don't even dare to have the thought of resisting. That was the power of 4,200,000 will transcendent experts. Only a fool would resist desperately in the face of such power. Zhou 16 nodded slightly and threw him a treasure with a superior will transcendence level. This treasure can allow you to quickly recover to your peak state back then. Use it to join this Emperor's Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom and go with this Emperor to conquer the ultimate divine kingdom of Deheng. Yes, Your Majesty. The Heavenly Axiom Lord agreed without hesitation. Then, he said hesitantly, Your Majesty, I need those 3 incarnations. The Dao Master of the Heavenly Devil Dao can give it to you. Heavenly Thearch Vastson and Master Zi Wei, let them go. This treasure that this Emperor gave you is enough for you to recover without needing all your incarnations. Zhou 16 said calmly. Understood, Your Majesty. Heavenly Axiom Lord hurriedly said. Zhou 16 nodded. Then, he looked at Heavenly Axiom Lord and suddenly said, use your strongest transcendence or immortal technique to attack this Emperor once. The Heavenly Axiom Lord was shocked. Hurry up. You can't hurt me. Zhou 16 frowned. Yes, Your Majesty. Heavenly Axiom Lord's body trembled as he hurriedly used his strongest move. Immortal technique Yellow Illusion Dream. Buzz. From Zhou 16's point of view, the surrounding world suddenly turned dark. The Heavenly Axiom Lord in front of him had actually turned into the projection of the Heavenly Axiom Lord reflected in the pool as he looked at him coldly. After a while, all the illusions disappeared. Zhou 16 frowned. That's it. It's over, Your Majesty. Heavenly Axiom Lord said awkwardly, I used the immortal secret technique to temporarily raise my strength to the quasi-eternal immortal realm. Then, I used my strongest transcendent technique, the Yellow Heaven Illusion Dream. However, it doesn't seem to have any effect on you, Your Majesty. Zhou 16. He had thought that it was just a gust of wind. Never mind. Zhou 16 shook his head. Let's leave it at that. There's only one mission for you. Incorporate all the multiverse factions under your Yellow Heaven Great Cosmos and the Yellow Heaven Great Cosmos under this Emperor. At the same time, cooperate with this Emperor's Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom to upgrade its territory. This Emperor wants to see that in at most 3 days, the Emperor's Blazing Sun Divine Kingdom's territory level will be upgraded to a high-level transcendent level territory. Is there a problem? No problem, Your Majesty. Heavenly Axiom Lord agreed without hesitation. My Yellow Heaven Great Cosmos is a top-notch Lord Great Cosmos, second only to Sacred Emperor Deheng's ultimate cosmos. Your Majesty only needs to give me 2 days. I'm confident that I can raise the level of your Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom's territory. Zhou 16 nodded in satisfaction. 2 days later, with the full cooperation of the Yellow Heaven Great Cosmos, the Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom received all the resources and experts of the Yellow Heaven Great Cosmos and its subordinate Great Cosmos at an astonishing speed. At the same time, with the help of these resources and experts, the Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom upgraded its territory to a superior territory in less than 2 days. As for the country's territory, it could not be upgraded. This was because it required the Lord's strength to increase first. Currently, Zhou Zhou's strength was at the low-level transcendent will realm. The highest level of a country was at the low-level transcendent kingdom. He couldn't go any higher. However, Zhou Zhou did not care about this. He had already reached 112 willpower experts and 11,238 supreme will realm experts after he took in all the experts in the Yellow Sky Great Cosmos and completed the recruitment and advancement in the past 2 days. Because of this, Zhou Zhou, whose strength had increased greatly, did not waste any time and directly let Zhou Fight lead the army to the Daheng Ultimate Holy Empire. The Daheng Ultimate Holy Empire was extremely far from the Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom. Even though they had the alligator, the fastest mount in the universe, they had to fly for 4 days before they reached the Daheng Ultimate Holy Empire. The Sacred Emperor Daheng and the Daheng Ultimate Holy Empire had long been prepared for the arrival of the Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom. A total of 100,000 Supreme Will Realm experts and more than 2,000 willpower experts shocked everyone, including Zhou Fight. None of the experts expected this. For so many years, the Daheng Ultimate Holy Empire, which had not made a move, had actually accumulated such a huge amount of wealth. Zhou Fight was also shocked at first. However, he laughed in no time. "What are you laughing at?" Saint Emperor Daheng frowned as he looked at this young challenger. "This emperor is smiling. Thank you for giving this emperor such a huge fortune." The sacred Emperor Daheng's expression darkened when he heard that. Just as he was about to say something, he heard Zhou Fight say, "Sacred Emperor Daheng, this emperor will give you a chance. This emperor will stand still and let you attack as you wish. If this emperor is unharmed after 15 minutes, you will give up resisting and bring your Daheng Ultimate Holy Empire to join this emperor." Chapter 1978. If you can hurt me, this emperor will do the same. Are you willing? As soon as these words were spoken, all the experts were shocked. Even the experts of the Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom were a little worried. These words were too exaggerated after all. However, Saint Emperor Daheng was a little tempted. This condition sounded too beneficial to him after all. Really? Saint Emperor Daheng could not resist the temptation and asked. No matter how he attacked for 15 minutes, as long as he was unharmed, did he think that he was an immortal level expert? Saint Emperor Daheng felt that he had no reason to refuse. "We can swear this oath in front of the willpower of the ultimate void origin," Zhou Fight said. "Sure." The sacred Emperor Daheng immediately agreed. Then, under the witness of the willpower of the origin of the universe, these two pinnacle great beings of the universe made this bet. The will of the ultimate void great cosmos increased the stakes. Whoever won would be the true Dihuang of this era and have the chance to represent the ultimate void great cosmos and compete with the master of the illusionary great cosmos for immortal opportunities. And then, the Saint Emperor Daheng began. 15 minutes later, the sacred Emperor Daheng, who had used all sorts of methods but was still unable to injure Zhou Fight, looked at him in a daze. Your physical body," he stuttered. Zhou Fight nodded. "This emperor's supreme sacred body has already reached the upper level of transcendence. The current body of this emperor is already comparable to a true immortal." As expected. Saint Emperor Daheng smiled bitterly. Then, he took a deep breath and half knelt on the ground. He respectfully said, "Saint Emperor Daheng greets His Majesty." A month later, in the dusk battlefield, Zhou Fight stood there alone and opposite him was the master of illusionary abyssal, who led 100,000 Supreme Will Realm Illusionist clan and hundreds of millions of Supreme Will Realm Illusionist clan members. "Why are you here alone? Where's your Blazing Sun Holy Kingdom army?" the illusionary abyssal master said. "The battle between us has little to do with them. Furthermore, even if they weren't here, I can still borrow their powers," Zhou Fight said. "That makes sense." The master of illusionary abyssal was speechless. Then, he waved his right hand, and the 100,000 transcendent illusionist clans and hundreds of millions of Supreme Will Realm illusionist clans behind him turned into countless black mists that were sucked into the master of the illusionary abyssal's body through his nose. As these experts fused, the aura on the master of illusionary abyssal's body increased by hundreds of times in the blink of an eye. He was a quasi-eternal realm expert to begin with and was much stronger than Saint Emperor Daheng. Now that his strength had increased by hundreds of times, his strength was so terrifying that it made the ultimate void great cosmos and the illusionary great cosmos in the dusk battlefield and the outside world tremble violently. The master of the illusionary abyssal revealed an infatuated expression and said softly to Zhou Fight, "The current me is the one with all my strength." Zhou Fight nodded slightly and glanced at the number of willpower transcending experts below his king. Willpower transcendent expert, 57,000. After he became the real De Huang, he had the number of subordinates of all the supreme level experts in the ultimate void great cosmos. After he became the real De Huang, he had the number of subordinates of all the supreme level experts in the ultimate void great cosmos. Even though it was far inferior to the 100,000 will transcendence level experts brought by the master of illusionary abyssal. However, he has a king. King. Zhou Fight said softly. Boom. These 57,000 willpower transcendent experts instantly multiplied by 50,000 times, becoming 285 billion willpower transcendent experts. Furthermore, among these experts, there was Saint Emperor Deheng, a quasi-eternal immortal expert. This made Zhou Fight's strength almost reach the level of a true immortal level expert. Master of illusionary abyssal's pupils constricted. An urge to escape filled his mind. Immortal. The master of illusionary abyssal muttered. Swoosh. He appeared out of thin air in Zhou Fight's palm, like his plaything. Zhou Fight waved his right hand, and an illusory light spot flew out of his chest. No. The illusionary abyssal master roared. This is the illusionist heart. The living beings who obtain the illusionary heart can become the illusionary De Huang recognized by the illusionary origin and rule all the illusionist clan, right? You and the illusionary origin are good enough. It turns out that you can do this even without the illusionary legendary tier sage seal. No wonder you were so generous to give me the illusionary legendary tier sage seal. Zhou Fight said. Give it back. The illusionary abyssal master said angrily. Zhou Fight clicked his tongue and returned the heart of illusionary to the master of illusionary abyssal. This time, the master of illusionary abyssal was stunned. This was an opportunity to become immortal. Why did the other party directly return it to him? Zhou Fight did not explain. Instead, he sent a voice transmission to Zhou Zhou. Main body, it's time to open the immortal gate. Your current strength should be enough. No matter how many there are, there's not much meaning. It won't be too late to come back and take this guy's illusionary heart after you open the door of immortality and complete your supreme test. At that time, you can advance to undying normally. You don't have to worry about the territory. After you enter the immortal gate and obtain the recognition of the immortal luck, the power of the immortal palace should descend directly and instantly upgrade your territory and country to the immortal territory and the immortal kingdom. There's no need to prepare those messy resources and requests. Got it. Zhou Zhou from the Reincarnation Sacred Palace replied. Then, Zhou Zhou opened his eyes and looked up at the immortal door in the ultimate void great cosmos. Chapter 1979. He smiled gently. This door doesn't seem to be anything special. With a thought, he had already arrived in front of the ancient door that was engraved with epic tier epics. With a gentle push, the eternal door was opened like the most ordinary door. Zhou Zhou walked in. He discovered that there were already more than 100 immortal realm experts of various forms and appearances here. Among them, there were at least 3 immortal level powerhouses. Even he felt that he was invincible. At this moment, an immortal stood up and bowed respectfully to Zhou Zhou with a shocked expression. Immortal AI2 pays his respects to the Supreme One. Another immortal rank expert stood up and said respectfully to Zhou Zhou, Immortal Rosker greets the Supreme One. Immortal Feng greets the Supreme One. Immortal Minor Dust God greets the Supreme One. Immortal Eating is Heaven his respects to the Supreme One. Immortal Hidden Chaos greets the Supreme One. Immortal One greets the Supreme One. Figures stood up one after another until a familiar figure stood up and smiled at him. Immortal Water Emperor greets the Supreme One. Teacher. Zhou Zhou's eyes lit up and showed. This immortal was his teacher the Supreme Will. The Water Emperor smiled and told him to calm down. Teacher, you've indeed advanced to immortal. By the way, where's my supreme undying teacher? Zhou Zhou asked telepathically. Teacher is out, temporarily not in the immortal palace. Don't talk to me yet. Mind your manners. Water Emperor reminded. Zhou Zhou nodded and finally, another familiar figure stood up after all the ordinary immortals bowed to Zhou Zhou. Greetings, Supreme. Zhou Zhou was shocked when he saw him. Zero, why is it you? This Machina race member who stood up was none other than his subordinate in the ultimate void great cosmos mechanical immortal Zero, the machinery master god who was once one of the top 10 master god tier. I'm immortal by default. The zero in your ultimate void great cosmos is a projection of my past. It has received my blessings before. Zero said shyly. Zhou Zhou nodded in realization. It was no wonder that he felt that Zero was a little out of place with the other 10 gods when he was in the ultimate void great cosmos. It turned out that this guy had the backing of an immortal rank expert. I actually only knew about it now. Ancestor of the dead, Supreme of the Six Extremities Li Chen, greets Supreme. At this moment, a handsome man with a handsome face and an ancient bow on his back said to him with a smile. You are Senior Li Chen. Zhou Zhou felt a great sense of oppression from the other party and said cautiously. There's no need to be reserved. We're of the same seniority. Li Chen smiled. When Zhou Zhou heard this, he looked at the large number of Lord talents that had yet to be upgraded to immortal level. It was as if he could see countless immortal level cheats in the future. He felt much more confident and nodded. Oh yes. Here's something for you. After Li Chen finished speaking, he threw an item to Zhou Zhou. Zhou Zhou took it and realized that it was a palm-sized miniature strange pool. This is the Sea of Void. Zhou Zhou said in surprise after finding out the details about this. I accidentally picked this up in the past. I've been playing with it for a while. I'll return it to you now that it has met its new master. Li Chen smiled and said. Zhou Zhou glanced at the immortal holy artifact Sea of Void. He suddenly smiled and said, this thing is useless to me. I can sense that it has a new destined master in its fate, let it meet this new master. With that, this precious immortal holy artifact was thrown out of the immortal palace by Zhou Zhou and fell into an unknown small world in a large universe under the smiling gazes of the two immortals. And the true ownership of this immortal holy artifact would be another new and long story of immortality. The end. For more audiobooks, support me in Patreon. The link in the description.